Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Boston Red Sox of the pre-integration era, integration era. I don't really have a good pithy name for it. I'm sorry. Last episode we won the World Series. We did it. We are victorious, winning our first championship, and it's up to us to keep that record going. It's important to know we barely made the playoffs last year. Like, barely. I don't actually know how we even got to the World Series. So it says he finished third. Wait, what is this? Oh, you know what? I did not know. That was 2 seasons ago. I'm fucking stupid. Sorry, guys. Brain go by. Oh, we actually finished third, which is it's still respectable. But we went for the outfield being the outfield is still a major strength for us, but we are losing our center fielder. He's not quite as good as he used to be. Um, and we just got some bad injury luck. We are a significantly better team with Cristobal Toriente being available to us. Um, he just adds an extra layer of flexibility that makes him valuable even if he's not playing every day. However, I don't know if there's a place for him on this roster. We'll see. Perhaps one of our more intriguing players is Earl Webb. Or maybe he isn't. Oh, game! Stop it! Stop randomly turning people into fucking pitchers. I don't want him to pitch. I want him to be an outfielder. Damn it. Although he's clearly not, he's already slipped a little bit since he broke out a little bit. But he's still a good player, and I still think he's got a chance to have a role on the team as well. We do have some pretty talented players, but none of them happen to be center fielders, which creates a bit of an issue. Hmm. I mean, Heavy Johnson can also play shortstop. That is an option available to us. It's maybe not the best option, but it works. So we're gonna have to see what we can do going forward. Let's have a real quick peek at the reserve roster. Nobody really here ready for the big leagues. Um, so the question is, what do we need in order to ensure a successful outcome to next season? The fact of the matter is, we were a really good team last year. I do think Specs was a bit of a waste of time. And had we had Rabbit Moranville the entire season, I think we probably would have made the World Series again. Sometimes it's one specific move that really changes things. Um, Finney Branahan went from Cy Young winner to merely decent because his walk rate shot up. Wait Hoyt did not see his walk rate increase, but saw his strikeout rate drop, which is not great because he didn't have a lot to work with, but still a very productive starter. By far the best starting pitcher we had last season. Joe Bush turned in a pretty decent season, albeit not a great one. Another pitcher whose biggest issue is that he walks more people than he strikes out. And then Wiley Marshall, who we brought in toward the end of the season and gave us some decent starts, and at least strikes out more people than he walks. But I do think we need some really reliable starting pitching. Really reliable starting pitching. Somehow. I don't know how, but somehow. We also need to get some new coaches. And this, I think, is a decent opportunity to make some improvements. We have an unhappy staff. Well, we would. Oh, we've already got our third base coach being offered, so if we do manage to grab him, that should be pretty good. That should be pretty decent. Oh, let's go ahead and advance some time, friends. Yes, fine. Whatever, man. Whatever. Um, Personalized almost is giving you a better offer, have they? I will pay you $1,500, but if that doesn't make you happy, then fuck off. I'll find somebody else. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into a giant fight for a relatively unimportant position. We'd really like somebody. Really, we have all the personalities. We don't want controlling. Controlling is something we have too much of. But just about anything else, anything besides normal or controlling will be fine. Somebody willing to take the third base coach job. Here you go. The thing is, Carragher's probably getting. Bill Stanley isn't a terrible choice. I do think he would help our chemistry a little bit because he's easygoing and he likes controlling and hates personable. I don't think I have anyone that is personable, so we'll give it a shot. It's also important to notice we have a big weakness in terms of solidifying our staff, which is Connie Mack. Connie Mack, for whatever reason, doesn't have these two traits, which means he only has a negative impact and doesn't have a positive one. But hopefully the new guy is going to make a difference. Hopefully Mr. Stanley here is going to really improve things in terms of the chemistry fight. A couple people on Reddit were actually recommending in their own games actually turn off staff cohesion so they can just get the coaches they want to. I'm not opposed to that, but I do think, especially in this particular franchise, where I have a ton of decisions to make normally, I think it's fine to leave it as it is. I bet no one else has given you a similar offer. Done. That's our coaching staff fixed. Gold glove for Rabbit Moranville. Good for him. Very good for him. I guess I should check out free agency, right? Like, I should at least look at the free agent options. Clear filter. Are there amazing players? Give me default, please. You know, Dick McCabe wouldn't be a terrible choice. I think I could get behind adding him. He's young, he doesn't walk many hitters, and his biggest weakness is one Mike Park won't expose, which is giving up home runs. I think Dick McCabe would be a fine addition to this franchise, and I think we're going to go ahead and offer him a contract. Let's make it happen. Marito Acosta is not good enough. I know we need a center fielder, understood. We might have to get that center fielder from the draft. Because I just don't see us having. I don't see there being great center field options here. Is anybody decent defensively at center field? Literally nobody is good at center field. That's fine. I don't want to bring back Max Carey, in all honesty, especially because his defense has slipped drastically. This is a non-guaranteed contract. I could just cut him. I think that's probably a bad idea. Maybe it's not a bad idea. It's selfish. How is our team chemistry? It's not great. It could be better. I wonder if I could trade Max Carey for literally anything. I know this is selling low on him, and I know we're not likely to get a great return, but I'm at least willing to kick the tires on it. All players, please. I mean, this guy's a solution to the center field problem. I don't love his name. I don't love Mr. Jigger here, but he could be a good center fielder. This is a definite maybe. Definite maybe. Whitey Witt is a bit more well balanced. He's got decent play discipline, pretty decent contact, and he's a good center fielder. I have no objections to picking Mr. Witt. I don't think he's necessarily the very best choice, but I do think he's a good choice. Um, with Baby Doll Jacobson, oh, hi there. You would be a lovely addition to this franchise. Huh. He's got a good glove. He's not a great hitter, though, and he's coming off a career low in offense. That's a possibility, though. Sam Rice isn't that great defensively. Bill Lamar is awful defensively. He's a great hitter, but he's a terrible center fielder, as is the case with Jimmy O'Connell. Kurt Walker, meh. I'd rather keep Toriente than that. So, okay. We've got some decent options here. A couple things make me cautious about Jacobson. First, he's entering into a ballpark where he's not going to be able to hit for power anymore. Like, he's probably going to go back hitting 3 or 4 home runs a year. His defense is decent, but not otherworldly. And he's 33, meaning he's probably going to start declining in the near future. So we'll set him to the side. Whitey Witt offers a very well-rounded player who's on the upside of his career, but he's not an elite defender. He's a good defender. And let's not excuse the fact that he has had exactly 1 year with the positive OPS plus, which was this year. I don't know so much about Mr. Witt. There's lots to like about Mr. Stats here. He's a great base runner and a top tier center fielder, but you know what he isn't? He's a very, very limited player. If this was 20 years ago in the dead ball era, I would jump all over him. I don't think he can handle things in the modern era, though, because he doesn't have a secondary offensive skill. He just hits for average and steals bases. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to make him vulnerable. He's not going to be a consistently good player. Look at Nemo Leibold, and I know why I didn't. I'm going to go for Whitey Witt. It might be the wrong decision, I don't know, but I feel reasonably good about it. I think that was the right choice. I'm not going to overthink it. Mr. Witt, you're going to shift over to center field, and we'll let that happen. Could also put Toriente at center. He might get some time there as well, but that's one move that had to happen. Max Carey clearly had lost a lot of his talent, and we needed to move on from him quickly. Were we playing a shortstop again? Or are we playing Everett Scott at shortstop? No, Heavy Johnson. That's right. Okay. I could trade Everett Scott. I'm not opposed to that, but I don't think we're going to get very much of a return, but we can try it. But we really do want another infielder. I think that's critical. Chuck Dressen has to either step back and turn in a great season, or we need a new third baseman. And I don't know which of those answers is going to happen yet. We might wait until after the draft and see what kind of players might be acquirable. Let's advance time for now, though. Because something we don't have is we don't have a beg pardon. We don't have a ton of young talent that very obviously lend themselves as trade targets. We just don't right now. Best reliever in the AL, we literally only had two candidates. A Silver Slugger for whom? Oh, Heine Manouche. And Ray Grimes. Grimey gets it done, y'all. Grimey gets it done. He is Mr. Red Sox so far. How come I didn't get... Oh, we lost our owner. John Olsen Jr. wants a better third baseman, an upgrade in the minor leagues, and another championship. I wonder why they didn't use actual owner names. That seems odd, like an odd choice. I could check on the free agent market again, see if there's anybody else here that Evan as it was added in, but it doesn't look like it. Clarence Craft is not an interesting player to me. He just isn't. He's a power only hitter that doesn't have a position. He'd basically be a bench guy. I get it that I could afford to put more money into the bench. I just don't think it's valuable. And then you're going to be promoted to the active roster. Thank you, Dick. I think you instantly become our fourth starter. Or at the very least, a valuable swingman. So I'm pretty chuffed about getting McCabe. I think he really fills a hole that we had. I'll vote for Babe Adams, sure, and Clark Griffith. Fred Luderis, absolutely not. Like, it's in the dead ball era to hit less than 300 is basically sacrilege. I will vote for Rube here. And also toss a vat to Hippo Vaughn. Toss a vat? A vote. A vat. And I'll vote for Chief Bender too. And Sakat and Fred Clark. Sure. I don't. There isn't. The thing is, I don't really have a reason not to vote for these guys. I have the spots on the ballot. Why not vote for them and let the chips fall where they may? All right, so we're not dead last in the draft, but we're pretty close to it. Really, the fucking Yankees have back-to-back picks? Oh my god, man, that sucks. That's baloney. I don't approve of them getting Jimmy fucking Fox. And of course, the Yankees had the top two picks in a year with three good players. Are you literally shitting me? Oh my god. Sometimes it's hard, guys. Sometimes it's hard. They're being gift wrapped. Probably Jimmy Fox and Charlie Gehringer, and that's just gross. It's gross. Who's Dale Alexander? I guess he played in the real major leagues. Neat. Good for him. I wasn't going to get any of them. Joe Strip. I could see this working out. He's an incredibly well-rounded player, and he's not a terrible third baseman either. I do think Joe Strip adds talent at a position where we need talent. I'm super on board with it. Done. I'll meet his demand. Um, I don't hate Tommy Thompson, but I don't think he's a great fit either. I like Group Earhart quite a bit as a way to get more depth in the rotation. Hmm. Who's my backup catcher right now? Is it still Buck Ewing and Walt Larian? I wouldn't mind another catcher. Factually, a decent catcher wouldn't be a terrible thing to have. I will draft ball player Kaufman with my second round pick. Cleo Carlisle. Hmm. If he develops a bit, he'd be an okay outfielder. But then there's Flint Rem, who I think would be a far better choice, a far better use of our draft pick than Mr. Carlisle. So we'll do that. Poor Tommy Thompson just wants anybody to draft him, and it's just not happening so far. I mean, we're pretty bad off for infielders. So I'm gonna take a player knowing he's not that great. Hap Collard, maybe Mr. Collard Green. Double Joe Dwyer. That's a fantastic name. You have to love that. It's just a shitty draft. I'm gonna take one player that isn't Tommy Thompson. I guess I'll take Hap Collard. And I will take Tommy Thompson now that it doesn't cost me anything. And then I'm gonna let my scouting director do the rest of it. I'm really getting annoyed by these really short-term drafts. They only have a handful of decent players, and it's just so hard to find great players there. I do want to kick the tires on the Negro leagues and see what might be available to us. All right, Birmingham, what do you got? Do you have anything interesting? No. You have one decent player, which is Robert Poindexter. I don't hate the idea of adding him to the roster, but he's not very good. I don't think he really does much other than add even more leadership, which is not unuseful, but it's not great. I mean, there's Sam fucking Streeter. He would be an amazing addition to our rotation. Like, quite literally, I know starting pitching isn't something we have a huge amount of weakness in, but he's so bloody good, I think we have to do it. Like, we have to. Done. Like, I don't know how he could have not taken a picture of his raw talent and let him go. I'm going to look a little bit longer. I'm simply looking for hitters. But I do think already that was a pretty fantabulous addition to the roster. Uh huh. Valentine Dreek isn't the worst. Having another solid outfielder just makes sense. But he is somewhat limited, and I think what we have now is better. Indianapolis ABCs. Wilson Reedus cannot play the infield at all. Decent hitter, not a good infielder in the least. Willie Bobo. Bobo Brazil. Damn, St. Louis Stars have a lot of pitching talent. George Scales is a fantastic player, and he is not remotely a good fielder. I said not remotely. He'd handle himself pretty well in the corner infield. You could play the out infield too. I think we've got to take him. I think we're gonna buy him too, and that's gonna be how we upgrade our roster here. Let's shift back to the Boston Red Sox. Let's add our new toys to the main roster. Like, Streeter is just good. He's just an amazing pitcher. Instantly gives us even more credibility. Um, Realistically, I don't know where George Scales fits. He's a while away from being a good center fielder, but we can definitely find a job for him somewhere. I'm perfectly content to use him as a bat off the bench this first season, let him develop a little bit, and then take stock of where we are. That felt good. That made up for a draft that wasn't that impressive. But someone ended up actually giving us a no joke starter in it with what's his bucket with our third baseman because we need to upgrade a third base as well. Everybody at Collard is already signed. I think we go ahead and promote Strip. Like Strip's going to start at third base. Unless Dressen was a genius defender, which he's not. And ball player Kaufman also gets a chance to make the team. As soon as already started spring training, I feel pretty good. Oh right, this. There's probably nobody good. There's Fred Tony, the reliever. I don't see why that affects me at all, though. I don't really want another reliever. Good old James Scoggins. Chief Bender, Eddie Saccott, and Clark Griffith all made it. Cool. Ray Caldwell, I'll remind you, actually made the Hall of Fame in real life. Um, no, he didn't, did he? Because I think he was a spitballer for Cleveland. I need to look that up. I could have sworn Ray Caldwell was in the Hall of Fame. Maybe he's not. He may not be, actually. Yeah, he wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Okay, I feel better now. I swore he was in the Hall of Fame. Who's the guy who pitched for Cleveland that threw a spitball when the spitball is made legal? Or when the spitball is made illegal? Spitballers grandfathered in. No, it was Ray Caldwell, but I was thinking of Stan Kovaleski, who also is not in the Hall of Fame, I don't believe. But I know that Stan Kovaleski was considered by far the better pitcher. Yeah, he's not in the Hall of Fame either. I'm just full of shit. There we go. I mean, Stan Kovaleski had a genuine argument to be in the Hall of Fame, though. He has 60 wins above replacement as starting pitcher. That's not. He was a really good pitcher, in other words. A very, very good pitcher. But sadly, not a Hall of Famer. Oh no, he's not in the Hall of Fame. I'm a dumbass. Yes, he's the guy thinking it was Stan Kovaleski, not Rick Caldwell. Stan Kovaleski made the Hall of Fame. Now that that's settled, let's baseball some more, shall we? Let us unleash the baseball. Oh my gosh, pardon me. That snuck up on me. My apologies. Um, some pitchers are getting worse. Others are getting slightly better. It is a thing. Fini Branahan's getting close to being Fini. Um, Everett Scott is playing better. Hani Manouche is slightly worse. Whitey Witt is slightly worse. George Scales is slightly better. Earl Webb is slightly better. And Torrientes is not a terrible catcher. We might keep Torrientes as a catcher, actually. Factually. And Heavy Johnson's already starting to slip a little bit, so. It be like that sometimes. Let me now. Don't we now our gay apparel? We're gonna go ahead and have our roster set up. You can set up all the things if you'd like. George Scales at third base. He's not a terrible choice there, actually. I might be okay with this. It wasn't where I planned to use him, but he's certainly a really talented hitter. And getting him in the lineup is going to make us better than rushing Joe Strip. Who also I think is going to be a really good player. I think Joe Strip has a ton of potential to be a good player. But I want to give Scales the first crack at it. Let's advance time, shall we? It's going to be so competitive, though. That's going to be the tricky part. It's going to be so tight as far as whether you can pull off the victory or not. Because there's only one playoff spot in each league, just one. And so that's always going to create a bit of an issue. Potentially. Red Lucas probably deserves to have some sort of permanent role in his pitching staff, one would think. Alright. Let's simulate. When does the regular season start? It starts April 15th. Let's sim forward a bit. So that I'm trying to avoid injuries, basically. If there's going to be injuries, I want to make sure that we have them in the right place. Okay. Can I have 32 men on the regular season roster? I can only have 25. 14 pitchers is excessive. It is extremely excessive. So let's find the worst pitchers and banish them to the land of wind and ghosts. Man, remember when Sam Jones used to be one of the best relievers in the game? I don't either. I think Sam Jones is going to the reserve roster. I think Finney Branahan is going to go to the reserve roster too. Henry Richardson's going to go there. I think 11 pitchers is good. And I like the way this is set up. Although I do question having the best pitcher. I mean, best pitcher is maybe an overstatement because he was literally replaced on level last year. I'm fine with this for right now. I think this is fine. Lineup, I have 29 players. I do not need this many catchers. And point of fact, we're going to send Larian and Ewing to the reserve roster. I think I need Joe Strip as just another infielder. And I have a very, very large number of outfielders. So I send Hendricks to there and probably ball player Jones. And then let's reset the lineup because I definitely want the lineup set up the way that I want it. What's the deal here? Why is somebody on here twice? Am I going... How do I have 11 pitchers? Is somebody in the pitching staff listed as a hitter? So he's being used as a two-way player. It's the only thing that makes sense because otherwise I would not have 25 players on it. Who here is actually... Okay, wait a minute. This says 11 players. So I do have too many players. Wait, this only says I have 25. That's what I find so confusing. This says I have 25 players, which means somebody is both a pitcher and Earl Webb. That's the guy. Earl Webb's the one who's doing double duty. Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, let's reset the lineup the way that I would like it set. And we're going to sort right the way by contact. I don't like Grimes being the leadoff guy. I think his gap power offers an additional dimension. I'd really like him to bat second. That's decision the first. Ray Grimes is going to hit second, not first. I think Whitey Whit would make a fine leadoff guy, so we're going to let him lead off. Then I think it goes Joe, Manouche, in right field, I guess. So here's an interesting question: Where do we play Heavy Johnson? I think we have to play him at shortstop. I think he's a decent enough shortstop that I'd rather play him there. So I will. So Heavy Johnson is going to come in. He's going to hit fifth, and he's going to play shortstop. Then George Scales. No, actually, I'm going to swap Scales and Johnson. I think Scales is the better player right now. And then we're going to play Wally Shang. And last but certainly not least, Rabbit Moranville. We're going to make up the depth chart. Hang on a second, actually. Why am I using dipshit scouting numbers? There we go. That's better. Yeah. And then generate me a depth chart, please. I don't like you forcing Scott into the lineup. That's the one thing here that gives me concerns. I don't mind Scott coming as a defensive replacement. I get that. But I don't want him playing every day. Or even every third day. That seems ridiculous to me. That seems the definition of not good enough. That's good. Pitching staff is all set. I think we just go ahead and dive in for the baseball team. I am slightly concerned about this lineup. Ever so slightly. We're asking Whitey Witt to fill a pretty big hole, and I don't know if he can do it. His past track record, the last 2 seasons, suggests he can be that on-base machine that a team needs, but I'm not convinced he can be. But he's just here for this season. George Scales is going to be really fascinating. If he turns out to maximize his talent level, we've got a top flight position player. Just truly legendary. We don't have power, but that we really need power in our class. We're also relying a lot on Joe Jackson. This is probably the second biggest concern that I have. Mr. Jackson here is already 34. Which is already way longer than he played in real life. And I think he's got an extremely high likelihood of making the Hall of Fame potentially. So that's glorious. That's truly special. But. I am concerned about relying on him as heavily as we are. That's something we're going to have to consider. As far as players I'm most concerned about position player-wise, I think Wally Shang is first on the list. He's a 34-year-old catcher. And I don't have a real backup except for, curiously, Cristobal Toriente. He's already our backup catcher. He might end up being a regular catcher for us, potentially. I love Tori and his versatility so much. I know his injury history is awful. Keep in mind the contracts are not guaranteed at this point. I don't think they're guaranteed. They shouldn't be. Financials doesn't list it here because it's part of the reserve clause era rules. Yeah, only star players get guarantee contracts. That's right. I mean, I could just offer like our real stars giant contracts, but I don't see the point. Yeah, I'm not going to offer a guaranteed contract. Like, it's a good way to differentiate yourself if you're chasing another team. If you're really chasing an elite free agent, guaranteed contracts are a pretty useful way to keep him more likely to choose you. Do I have anybody? I've Joe Strip and Fred Frankhouse are both reasonably good players. Reasonably good. I like him better. His name was Frank Frankhouse, but that's okay. That's the other boss ended up with fucking Carl Hubble and Johnny Welch. If you're not picking top five at this point, you're really kind of boned. You're genuinely kind of boned, and I don't love that, but it's where we are right now. But basically, if you're not picking top five, you're not getting a star level talent, which makes it it's the same situation we have with the Oakland A's, right? We have to bottom out if we're wanting to get that top tier talent because there's just not enough ways to bring in talented players. It just isn't. Wait, Hoyt is getting better, which is great news. Hal Goldsmith has just kind of shocked us all by being a decent pitcher. And the rest of you guys are just kind of there. I don't like being shut out, though. That seems like a bad idea. Nowhere near enough at bats to make any sort of genuine judgment about our team or what we need or what we don't need. So we're just going to sit tight for right now. And see what happens. Oh, right. Marty Dernovich has improved a bit. That's lovely. George Scales, tiny bit worse. Heine Manouche, tiny bit better. Wade Hoyt, a little bit better. Wiley Marshall, a little bit worse. Streeter got a shutout. Riggs Stevenson was a jerk. I don't appreciate that. Again, fucking Harris Thorburn, like, yikes, right? Mega yikes. All of the yikes. What is working? The offense. At the back end of the lineup, we do struggle a little bit, but we've got solid players getting on base and scoring runs. That's key. Our home run power is low, but that's not a surprise. What is a surprise is how damn good Ray Grimes has been. I did not have Ray Grimes hits 400 on my bingo card this year, but I'm delighted to see it. I'd like George Scales to put a couple over the fence. That would be lovely. But I'm still very pleased with the offense. The offense is not really the issue here. Maybe Wally Shang is, but that's fine. Our rotation is a bit of a mess. It's got to be the defense. We've got to be struggling in defense because of like Marshall and McKay both look like decent players. Here's the thing: I cannot bench Heavy Johnson. I cannot do it. I know he's not a very good shortstop. He's actually an above average shortstop. I'm full of it. Never mind. Who's fucking up defensively? Is it Heine Manouche? Is he so bad defensively that he's hurting us as a team? We have a pretty bad outfield. We have a pretty bad outfield. And Manouche isn't hitting for power this year. This is a distinctly concerning phenomenon that I'm hoping is just he'll figure it out. But I am concerned because he is a very bad outfielder. We have a couple of really bad outfielders. Shoeless Joe, I'm fine with. I will soak a mediocre defensive performance for a hitter that is key to our success. That is a true statement, but we have a pretty good infield actually. Pretty decent actually. Our outfield is not so great, and Heine Manouche is hurting us with his glove more than he's helping us with his bat. I'm hopeful this will change though. Like if he heats up, we should have him where about he normally is, and then he'll look fantastic, and it'll look like a really great choice that we made to keep him around. So that's probably hurting our pitching stat. We take a look at the pitching stats. FIPS are significantly lower than ERAs. This is generally a pretty clear sign that something is happening with the defense. These also happen to be like, look, Wade Hoyt is our biggest ground ball guy. Look how much is being helped by our defense. But then you take a guy like Wiley Marshall or Dick McCabe, who are both just mess. Like they're neither great nor bad. That becomes an issue. If I turn Red Lucas into a starter, what does he look like right now? What's his rating? His rating is pretty strong. I want to get Red Lucas pitching opportunities. And Wiley Marshall. The thing is, Wiley Marshall buys peripherals is actually having a pretty good season. He's actually having a pretty good season. But a lot because of innings. I want Red Lucas pitching. He's not going to get better if he doesn't pitch. I'm going to start you as used more often. Dick McCabe is not doing what I was looking for. I don't hate him. I don't think the issue is that he's not a decent pitcher, but he's giving up home runs, and a park we really shouldn't be able to give up home runs. Actually, you know what? There we go. I want Red Lucas starting. I want to see what he's got, and we won't be able to see that if he is just hanging out. So we're gonna let him try to get some reps in more frequently and see what he can accomplish. All right. Let's plow through another month. How many hits did Joe Jackson get? He got 5. A homer. Oh no, yeah, 5 hits. A homer, a double, and 3 singles. Nice. And a walk. He could have gone 6 for 6. Rod Lucas already getting a complete game shutout. That's pretty great. What are we looking at now? How have things changed? Marshall is still struggling, but the rest of the pitching staff looks like they're still pretty strong. Ray Grimes has obviously cooled off. That's not a surprise. I did not expect him to 400 this year. That was too much. But he's still an extremely effective player, and I'm glad that we have him. Heine still has no power. This is deeply concerning to me. It's one thing to have a flawed defender if he's hitting really well, but he's not hitting that well. Maybe the issue is his abdominal muscle, and if he gets some rest, he'll come back and he'll look amazing. But he does concern me. Everyone else is doing pretty good. Yeah. There's not a lot I can do at this point. I don't really have assets to flip to get what we need, and I'm not even clear what we do need at this point. Our position players are fine except for Heine Manouche, and I think Heine just needs to play better. Like we just need him to step out there and just hit baseballs better. One thing I can do is I can take some of the pressure off of him by batting Heavy Johnson cleanup. Or hell, batting's no Scales isn't ready for cleanup yet. He's hitting for decent power, but not a ton. Let's go ahead and let Mr. Johnson have the luxury of bidding your cleanup hitter. This should help. Maybe it'll help Manouche realize he doesn't have to play quite as hard as he's been playing. Maybe we'll see some positives out of that. I'm not sure. The thing is, I have nothing to trade. Nothing here is going to get people excited about giving me something that's an upgrade. That's just the truth of the matter right now. I don't have a ton of hot, talented players on the roster. I just don't. Maybe like a Sam Jones could be an interesting trade piece. Surely somebody needs a pitcher. What would that get me? Out of interest, Sam Jones. It would get me nothing. Fair. All-Star break. Who we got? Sam Streeter, Grimy, Scales, and Johnson. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We do have a sub where it forces us to have one person for every team, right? We do. That's a lot of all-stars, though. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 all-stars. Man, fuck the Yankees, though. Just in general principles, fuck the Yankees. Genuinely, Sam Streeter is why we're playing so well this year. Like, he has been out of his damn mind. We gotta ride that horse while we still can. Any former pals here? No, not really. Okay. Wow. This is a really bad catching crop if Hank Severine is making it despite being just over replacement level. That's funny. That is hilarious. Look how good Johnny Mostel is this year. Like, holy shit, man. That's a really good player. I also like how Babe Ruth doesn't make all-star teams anymore. Like, fuck that guy. That's funny. Oh, he's injured. Okay. I like that. Casually worth 5 wins above replacement. Doesn't make the all-star because he's hurt. He's had some serious injury histories, though. He's had a lot of problems with that. I'd like to tell you that I feel bad for them, but I don't. But it is a little bit sad. Tiny bit sad. Itty bitty sad. But it's still the Yankees, don't fuck the Yankees, so. Let's go up to the trading deadline. I'll be honest, guys, it's going to be a dull trading deadline. I don't have anything worth trading other than like Cristobal Toriente. But Toriente is so useful. He's the kind of player that you would trade if you were a small market team because you're hoping to get something better. But we're not a small market team. We're a very large market team. So having an incredibly talented player on the bench is a positive thing. It is a good thing to have somebody like Toriente ready to go if somebody gets hurt. The only player I would consider trading is Chuck Dressen. I would definitely trade Chuck Dressen for a reasonably good young player. I would make this trade. Not a reliever, but I would consider it. I don't really need another outfielder. I'm pretty good up on outfielders, thanks. I don't need an older catcher. I wouldn't mind getting younger at catcher, but definitely don't want to get older at catcher. There's nobody here. Nobody here that I'd look at and go, "Fuck yeah, that's a championship right there." Because the player doesn't exist. At least I don't think he exists. Roger Peckinpah would be a reasonably good upgrade over No, I already have. No, no, no. He'd be a good reserve, but that's it. But I'm not going to trade a good reserve for a good reserve. I don't think that does me too much of a benefit. I don't need another starting pitcher of minimal quality. I'm good, thanks. Hmm. I don't even mind trading ball player Jones, but I just think the Sydney Ross sucks. He offers no benefit to me in the least. Um, Come on, let's win some games, damn it. Faustino Valdez. Oh, it looks like you already got traded by somebody. Damn, we swept them. Marshall, Streeter, and Lucas all had pretty good shit. Trading deadline, please. No, I don't need your shitty pictures. That does me no good. What do we need? What would change our fortune significantly? Not being the Yankees for one. Um, there isn't an obvious spot in the lineup. There isn't one where we could make a genuine improvement. Heine Minutia is still struggling, but he's still a productive player, and I'm not that annoyed by that. A starter to replace Wiley Marshall makes some sense. He is already uh 38 and he's not pitching super awesome. So I could see pushing in chips to get an additional starting pitcher. That I could see happening. That's about the only thing I'd consider bothering with though, would be a starting pitcher. You're not better than Rabbit Moranville. I could trade for Jack Scott. I don't know that he's necessarily better. I don't know that. Yeah, y'all got nothing. There's really nothing here that interests me. Ed Roush a little bit, but I know I'm not gonna be able to get Ed Roush. That's a little bit too much to ask for. Hell, I could just buy another fucking starting pitcher from the Negro Leagues. That would be funny, but I think it's genuinely the best choice for us. Like, there isn't a better place to get a great pitcher than like Bill Foster. Why the fuck wouldn't I want Bill Foster? Do it. Done. And then I just instantly switched back to the Red Sox, and I don't think I can get rid of Wiley Marshall without him agreeing to it. Oh no, I can. Yeah, you old fucker, go to the reserve roster. Give me the good shit. Give me Bill Foster. And I'm just gonna instantly slide you right the way in here. Done. I mean, it may not be great forever, but he's damn good right now, and I will happily take that. That is bigger than any trade I could have possibly made. Finished today, done. I refuse to trade with the Yankees on general principle. I almost feel like the new leagues are a tiny bit of a hack, but if the AI won't use them, I can't be forced to do it. I'm not gonna handicap myself because the AI isn't doing smart things. Is it exploity a little bit? But I think getting three of them is not unreasonable. One of which I didn't do till much later. Man, Heavy Johnson is by far one of the best purchases I think we've ever made. He's just been such a good player and surprisingly good at shortstop. He has been an incredible piece to our success, and I'm very happy about that. The difference is other players are building their teams mostly through the draft because they've had the luxury of bottoming out, which I haven't. I'm building my team through mostly the Negro leagues, which I think is interesting. It's not how I planned it, but I'll certainly take it. Okay. Best starter, Bill Foster. Billy Boy, how long is Joe out? He is out for 0 days. Oh, Bill Foster won Negro League Pitcher of the Year. Nice. Um, we're 3.5 games back. I don't know what we can do though, other than just I need a better reliever. Pep Hamilton's not getting shit done. He strikes nobody out and walks everybody. This is a stupid decision. I'm gonna put Ben Carr back in charge. The man got it done last year, sort of. And then you're gonna be just a middle reliever. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try getting the best strikeout guy that we've got more opportunities. And I think that's going to be a lot more effective than using Pep Hamilton, who just can't stop walking people. He cannot do it. He is unable to stop walking people. I'm really pissed off the Lefty Wolf isn't getting more pitching appearances. He's had 0 innings pitched this year. I'm going to turn you to a regular middle reliever. And I'm going to take Beach Ball McGee here and make him into a long reliever. We're going to see if that actually gets Lefty Wolf to throw some innings in anger, where I think his unique skill set could actually be really valuable to us. All right. We've got a month to start chaining together some wins in a row. That is what is required, Team Red Sox. Like, part of Detroit's so good this year is because Harry Heilman and Rick Stevenson are playing out of their fucking minds. To a certain degree, I can't control that. I cannot do it. If they have a guy that's just going to play that damn good, then we just have to soak it. George Scales missing 5 weeks is terrible timing. Could not be worse time. I will promote Ernie Holman because somebody's got to take the infield spot, and we're gonna give Mr. Strap here his chance at third base, I suppose. That sucks though. That is really terrible timing to have him get hurt right now. Because he's having a really good year. We need series against the Tigers we can dominate. That's what we need if we're going to make the postseason. Hey, Ernie Holman is marginally less terrible at second base now. Yay! Anyway. Okay. Before we go any farther, do we have a chance? We're a half game out of first. Okay. If we win the next 2 games and Detroit loses one of them, then we win the pennant. That's what we need. We have the power. Oh, they're only playing one more game. If Detroit wins, it'd be 95-59, which means the best we could do. No, we could still beat them. Okay. Because it's the loss column, right? It's the loss column is what truly matters. If they win and we lose, that's it. Let's actually see if they win, though. We're going to sim one day, because their season is over. Okay, we are currently in first place. If we win one more game, if we beat the Senators, we'll have clinched the pennant. We'll have won the pennant. That's all we have to do. We have to beat Washington in one of these next two games. Okay, if we win one game, no, we'd be 94 and 60. We'd be tied. And Detroit won the season series. So we have to win. We have to win this game basically. We have to win at least. We have to win ideally the next two. But if we can just win one, which we didn't, which means I think we're out. You had to fucking shut us out, Washington. And we lost the last game too. So we're definitely out now. Damn it. How did you melt down, guys? Yeah, fuck. We had a hell of a season. We underwent a lot of adversity with our players not performing the way we'd like them to have performed. But the Tigers had two incredibly talented players in Heilman and Stevenson that literally dragged them kicking and screaming to the World Series. If either one of those players had ever gotten hurt, they're screwed. Like they don't make the playoffs. But that's how it is. That is how baseball is, guys. That is how it is. If we'd been the National League, we would have also gone to the World Series. I'm just saying. It's hard to get too annoyed by a second place finish, but it's going to be an incredibly long time before there will even be four teams in the postseason. So it is what it is. Want a Cy Young Award winner, a top 10 prospect, you want a top 3 minor league system. That's not feasible. I cannot do both things. I cannot make a roster that competes for world championships and also have a top 3 roster. A top 3 minus. I cannot do it. It is not a possibility. Let's talk about what went well this season. Who are our best performers? Where did we get the most awesomeness in our roster? First of all, he's not heavy. He's our shortstop. Um, what a season he had. 16 homers, 14 homers in Fenway is an incredible achievement. An incredible achievement. He's not just our best hitter, he's also one of our best fielders. And that is so insane that I love it. Whitey Witt was a big success. I had my reservations. I was concerned about handing him the ball, but he did well. Very good defense, very good offense, led the league in plate appearances, and just got on base. Ray Grimes had a torrential start to the season and then just cooled off. But he still had a great season and a fantastic season. I'm not angry at any of these players that performed this well. Joe Jackson is interesting. He is getting better offensively, but he is getting far, far worse defensively. He would have been worth the same award last season had he not declined so precipitously in defense. Wally Shane turned in a nice bounce back, not really bounce back performance. He's actually as good as he was last year. Good season, very good season. Heine Manouche was okay, but that is all he was. His power numbers took a nosedive. Now, part of the issue, his power numbers were driven by triples. Triples are not sustainable. But he also lost a bunch of doubles and a bunch of home runs. This is concerning to me, and hopefully he fixes it next year. I genuinely think we're going to have to trade Joe Jackson in the offseason. Potentially. Rabbit Morainville, for a primarily defensive position player, actually had a really good season too. Like, I'm very pleased with how he's performed. Good year defensively. Good stuff. Our bench was not as deep as years past. What the fuck happened to Toriente? Game. I was like, why am I not saying Toriente? Here he is, because you randomly made him a starter again. Toriente is probably better than he has been used, but I love what he has done for this team. He's offered us. He's such a great reserve. Brilliant. Let's not lose sight of the fact of one of our most serious injuries toward the end of the season, which is George Scales. Mr. Scales had a genuinely good campaign. Genuinely good. He could be a better hitter, no question, but he was a good hitter. And he wasn't a terrible defender either. Pitching wise, Sam Streeter was fucking insane. Like, 11 wins is a lot of wins. He led the league in strikeouts, led the league in innings pitched, led the league in wins. Strikeouts per nine, walks per nine. He was the perfect pitcher this year. It is impossible to overestimate how amazing he was this year. Truly incredible. Bill Foster, 4 wins in 16 starts. He would not have competed with Streeter. Don't get me wrong. But he would have destroyed every other starter on the staff. Wade Hoyt, he just keeps winning. Wade Hoyt has been such a revelation for the staff. He's so consistent. He doesn't make big mistakes. He keeps us in games. If he wasn't as good as he's been in the past, he was still quite good. I'm reasonably pleased with Wade Hoyt. Brett Lucas. Let's not let Bill Foster destroy our impressions. Brett Lucas had a good rookie season. A very good rookie season, in point of fact. He stabilized the rotation, which we struggled with. And I think he's definitely earned himself a big role on the club. Dick McCabe was a mistake. Point blank, Dick McCabe did not get the job done. I'm going to release him right now. I don't want to deal with Dick McCabe next season. I'm going to actually try to trade him. We could use a better reliever. We could use a bullpen guy, potentially. But maybe we just need to trust Ben Carr. I need to ignore my manager and just go with the fact this is the reigning reliever of the year. Why not give him that opportunity? A full season of Bill Foster, assuming that he's as good as he was this season, is going to be terrifying. It's going to give us such an advantage over the other teams. It's going to be glorious. And I love it. When you have a 2-time Cy Young winner as your third starter, you know you've done something right. Where can we get better this season? That's a hard question to answer. Because first of all, we won 93 games. That is, let me check, a lot of games. Okay, but would not have won we wouldn't have made the postseason in the NL either. We didn't get timely pitching at the very end there. But let's not sugarcoat things. We had an incredible season. In some aspects, it's hard to argue we could have done much better. A full season of Bill Foster, a full season of Joe Strip, or not Joe Strip, George Scales could make a huge impact. It's more about players you've already got capitalizing on what they do well. Of all the players on this team, the one who I think played out of their minds to the point where I don't expect them to do it again is probably Whitey Witt. But maybe not. Like, this is a guy who did hit for more power than he's hit for before because of triples. He's not getting for this level of power again. I don't think that's fair. But he did get on base at a high level. That's what we needed. Grimes has been doing this for decades at this point. Not decades. I'm being hyperbolous. But he's been doing it for a long time. The man just gets on base and hits for a surprising amount of power. I don't trust his triple numbers, but I don't think he's put out of his mind. Joe Jackson is such a fascinating player. I think we're going to have a long, hard discussion of what to do with him in the offseason. Because he's such a bad defender, which I think hurts our pitching staff to a certain degree, that we may need to just upgrade from him somehow. Maybe we can find a great outfielder, or even Toriente or something, I don't know. Heine Manouche is the most important player on this roster next season. Most important position player, excuse me. If he turns another 1923, we go to the World Series. Hard stop. We go to the World Series. If he turns in another 1924, I have a harder time arguing we go to the World Series for that. We're going to have to think about that long and hard. And I just need younger hitters. I need younger, more talented hitters that can keep us with a constant stream of quality players. Joe Strip is one of them. Joe Strip is a legitimate third baseman. I know he didn't have an amazing regular season, but the moment we acquired George Scales, he wasn't going to get it. He wasn't going to make a role here. Led the league in strikeouts, don't love that, but he should be better. If he continues to improve, I think we're going to see some pretty cool stuff out of him. Here's the difference between me and the Tigers, my nemesis for this season. The Tigers got insane seasons out of two players, and Harry Heilman and Rick Stevenson. Had they not been fucking morons, Rick Stevenson would have been hitting higher in the lineup. I mean, Harry Heilman has always been great, so maybe that's a fair statement. Maybe he's just that good. But I think it's still fair to say that several players of theirs hit out of their minds. That gave him this huge advantage. That even if I equaled them pitching wise. How is Pepper Martin the number 7 prospect? Oh, because he's a great infielder. That makes sense. You're doing the same stupid thing where you flag hitters as pitchers for fun. I just need one semi-deep draft. I need a draft where a young position player will actually have a chance to fall to me. Picking where I'm going to be picking. Oh, that's going to happen, but I hope it does. I needed to get rid of Pep Hampton before I did. That's on me. I have to be a little bit quicker on the hook with my relievers because the margins are so narrow. We finished one season out of a playoffs, one game out of a playoff spot. In reality, we finished 2 games out of a playoff spot because if we had tied the Tigers' record, they still would have gone because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker. Um, are we using the tiebreak rules, or would it actually have been? That's a good question. I want to look at options. Where are the tiebreaker rules? Here we go. Break ties of tiebreaker games. Okay, I didn't understand that. If we actually had made, if we had won one of those last 2 games, then we actually would have played Detroit to go to the World Series. So fair. I forgot that that's how they did things. Like I don't know why I forgot that. Um, it's part of the reason that's how Cleveland won the 1948 World Series is because they beat, ironically, Boston in a game 163. Or was it 155? No, I think it was 163. I think we were 162 games by then. When did they go to 162 games? Um, when did MLB go to 162 games? 1961. So there we go. I was actually completely wrong. Um, interesting. But yeah, so I guess this game 155 that season. But anyways, there's a lot to like about this club, but there's also a lot to be concerned about. Let's take a quick look at one last number as we're wrapping up the episode. I want to take a look at a specific number for each and every player on our team. I always want, let's save this view as a global view. Done. This is my concern right now. I have 4 everyday starters that are 30 years old or older. I have 2 starters that are at 20 now, which means they'll be 30 next year. That's how time works, right? There is a finite amount of time where these players will still be useful to me. We have to replace Wally Shang. In the next 2 seasons, I have to find a catcher that I trust to be a starting catcher for us. It might be Toriente. I don't know that it is Toriente, but I don't know that it isn't Toriente. It could be Kaufman. Kaufman would be an okay catcher. But I need somebody to be available in case Shang hits a wall and hits it hard. As long as he's hitting around league average and putting up 3-win seasons, I will keep playing him. But he will, at some point, genuinely begin to decline. And when he declines, it's probably going to be sudden because he is a catcher. I think Joe Jackson needs to find a new team. Potentially. He's kind of a statue right now. And if I had a really dynamic center fielder or dynamic right fielder, I wouldn't be as annoyed by that. But we've got possibilities. But I do think we need young, talented hitters to keep things running here. The good news is we do have some young hitters. We have Manouche and Manouche and Scales and Strip. If we ever get a serious, if we get, we are a couple of injuries away from having an awful team. That is just now like that. I'm just now figuring that out. We're a couple of really bad injuries away from having a terrible offense, which is very terrifying. Very terrifying. And yes, there's a possibility to raid the Negro leagues, which I think really adds an extra dynamic element to the game. The ad doesn't want to do it. The ad doesn't have to do it. Why didn't start out with a loaded roster like the Cubs or the Tigers did? The Tigers fucking started with Ty Cobb and Harry Heilman. They drafted Rick Stevenson. I'll give him credit for that, but is that High Pockets Kelly? It is High Pockets Kelly. Like they've got some incredible players that I could not compete with my opening day roster. And Pepper Martin is really good. Fred Schulte is pretty good. Um, Ty Cobb is really good. I know it's shocking. So I do something to keep up with the Tigers of the world, with these teams that had these really great players. If you look at where's my favorite view? Here's my favorite view. My new default. How many players were on this team when we started the playthrough? Wally Chang, Ray Grimes, Everett Scott. Every other player on this lineup was acquired by me. So look at the pitching staff. Joe Bush, Wade Height, Ben Carr. Everybody else acquired by me. Whether it's draft, whether it's trade, whether it's purchasing from the Negro Leagues, what have you. I did not have a great talent base when I took over this team. No, there's a couple players we traded away. Guys like Harry Hooper that were actually pretty decent. But look, let's check. Let's take a look at something. Let's take a look. Positional register. Nope. Here you go. Oscar Charleston was amazing. Oscar Charleston was a really special player at one point. He is not that anymore. He has turned into an eternal backup. Look, Cristobal Toriente, ironically enough. Oscar Charleston was brilliant when we needed him, and then just went right down the toilet when we didn't need him anymore. He's the only other top talent player besides Hooper that we ended up getting rid of. And I think we still ended up a better team for it. We've done a really good job with this franchise. A really, really good job. Despite a huge amount of turnover in the rotation. Like Feeney Branahan went from Cy Young to average to not even in the major leagues. So this is not an average season. This is a really good season. My point still stands, right? I've had two pitchers the entire time that have had decent sized role, which have been Carr and Hoyt. Honest is also considered to be in the bullpen. I think the game just wanted to pick somebody. Yeah, that's funny. And it's because it's the number of games pitched, which is fair. Yeah, top pitcher in saves and top three pitchers in games. Okay. So Red Hands to starting pitcher too. So the question remains: are we going to have? Are any of my starting pitchers now going to melt down? Are Streeter and Foster both going to shit the bed next year? We have no way of knowing that. I hope they don't. They've had incredible seasons. I'd love to see them repeat that, but I don't know. But we do need good young players. Or what's going to happen is we're going to hit an awkward season, and the team's just going to disintegrate into 1,000 pieces. We have to get younger almost no matter what it takes. And that's going to be our task for next episode. Is try to get younger at a couple of key positions so that we have sustainable success to get us through the initial 10 years. Because we're going to play 10 years with each franchise. Maybe up to 20 for certain franchises, but I feel pretty pleased at what we've already accomplished. I don't think... We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm not going to commit to 10 years or not, but I think that's what I'm leaning towards. But, my friends, this is it for this episode. I hope you are enjoying the series. If you are, please remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, this has been Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.